YouTube? I'm back again today for more of our Origins Bonanza Explosion Blood coverage. We're here live at Origins 2018. Thanks in part to Tasty Minstrel Games, who sponsor everything we do, and all of our amazing Kickstarter backers last year. Right now, I am very excited because I'm going to be talking about an upcoming game. I believe it's coming out around Gen Con time from Van Ryder Games. This is for 1 to 6 players. This is the big score. I was instantly intrigued by this game as I walked by the demo table because it had this cool 3-dimensional bank out there. It really was just like it was a magnetic box, at least for the demo copy, but it stood up straight and it looked really cool, and I was instantly intrigued. I sat down and I found out that the big score is a game where you are going to try to rob different places over the course of 3 rounds. You might need gunmen, you might need drivers, you might need hackers, you might need greasemen, all sorts of different things. And what you're trying to do is you'll have cards set up at the top that have all the different jobs and all the different rewards for completing the jobs. But completing those jobs by yourself is kind of difficult because you don't have enough cards to do it. So what you're going to do is you're going to lay down cards secretly to perform jobs, and you will be working with other people, but you're not going to know if you're working with them or not because you're not allowed to talk about it at the table. Now, before we get started, I do want to mention that at the beginning of each round, you're going to have a drafting phase. But I believe it was 7 cards. You'll draft a card, pass the rest, draft a card, pass the rest. Very straightforward stuff. Once you've drafted those cards, then you are going to start secretly playing down cards and then putting these tiles on top of these cards showing which bank or which job you're trying to work, or you're trashing your characters, or if you're going to tuck your characters to save them for next round, potentially to save them for the end of the game for a super cool special ability, which I'll tell you about later. So then what happens is you start on 1 and you say, all right, who's robbing 1? And then they flip over all their cards, and if they have enough to do it, then they have successfully completed it, and both of the players get all the rewards that are listed on the right side. They don't split it. So if someone does 8 cards and somebody does 1 card, they both get the same reward. Then you go to 2, then you go to 3, until you've completely done all of them. Now, what can happen, though, sometimes is that you might fail. You might be 1 short. Now, if you're 1 short, you'll have the option to use this token that you'll have, which is 1 of any thief, burglar, driver, whatever you want, and that will satisfy that. But there's also like this interesting mini game during the game where, let's say you're on a job with Bob, and you and Bob end up 1 person short from completing this bank heist. Then what you do is you both take your chip, you put it underneath the table, and then you either come up secretly and say, I'm going to pay for it by showing a chip, or you come up and you don't, and you say, hey, this guy can pay for it, I'm not paying for it. And then you both put your hands out, you reveal at the same time, and if you've successfully completed it, you have it. If you haven't, you haven't. You know what I'm saying there. You get to use this token each and every round, so it actually does create quite a few scenarios where this happens, which adds to the fun. Now, also, if you fail to complete something, then you lose $20,000. So you can't just throw them wherever you want. So you're going to do that over the course of 3 rounds, and then you get to the very final phase. The final phase is going to have just a straight press your luck. We're going to be reaching your hand into this bank, the 3-dimensional bank I talked a little bit about earlier, and pulling out these tokens. They might have gold on them, they might have money on them, they might have police badges, and once a certain a number of police badges have come out, then everybody who's still in the round bust. But the big key here is every time you reach into the bank, if you eventually want to stop pressing your luck, you just don't grab a token, and then when we all reveal at the same time, people know that. So it's a really interesting ending to the game. I don't think I'm describing it quite as well as I would like it to, but I also mentioned that you can save things and get special abilities. If you have 3 cards that you've saved throughout the game and they're the same suit and they have the stars on them, then you are going to be able to get a certain special ability, and they're all different. A lot going on in this game. You start off with the drafting, then you do the jobs, you got a thing under the table, you have to push your luck at the end. Overall, I was really impressed with this game. This might have been one of my favorite games I demoed at Origins, and I've demoed probably about 4 games right now. Really liked it. I got a chance to play it, let's see, we were playing 4 players, so not quite at the full player count, 2 shorter. And I really liked everything about this game. I enjoyed the drafting phase. I enjoyed the secretly trying to figure out which jobs you're going to do phase. I really loved the phase at the end with the press your luck where you're taking it in there. It's very tense, and we had a group of like 5 or 6 people standing around our table watching the end of this because it got so intense, and they're like, no way, they're going to pull another one, no way, they're going to pull another one, and they just kept pulling and pulling. It was very exciting stuff, and it ended up with a really cool moment where someone pulled 2 extra times, and we were not expecting them to pull, and they ended up winning the game. But if they would have got 1 more police badge, game over. Now, another thing I really liked about this game was the scoring. The scoring to me was very reminiscent of Cash and Guns, where it's like if you get a certain number of diamonds, then it's going to start getting you more points, and if you get these things, they're worth this number, but if you have the most of them, then you get like an extra big bonus, and you get a hard drive, it's worth nothing, but if you get a key to unlock the hard drive, it's worth a lot of money. There was a lot of cool stuff with the scoring, and overall, very excited about this game. I think this one is going to definitely be a hit for Van Ryder Games. I would love to get a copy of this. I'm skeptical to see how it plays at the lower player counts. That's about the only thing that I would have to say negative about this game, because I like the artwork, I like the components. Granted, they were a late term prototypes, take it with a grain of salt. But there was a lot I really liked about this game. So that is the big score from Van Ryder Games. This is definitely one I'm excited to check out at Gen Con. It looks like it might be one of your words. Looks like it might be one of your cup of teas. Please be sure to click on that and check it out. Wow, that was really bad. Should I even wrap this up with the question? Sure. Get the question. Let me know in the comments below. Ooh, what's one of those words that you really always stumble on? One of those words that you'd rather not say it at all because it just ends up really bad. Mine's antenna. I can't pronounce it with the E instead of the A. Maybe it's my Indiana twang or something like that. I don't know. Well, let me know in the comments below. What's that word or phrase that you just can't stand saying? As always, thanks for your time, YouTube.